The morning began in silence. The kind of silence only the ocean can hold. Steady, endless, and heavy, with the hum of engines beneath steel decks aboard the U.S. cargo vessel Mercer Bay. The crew moved through their routines with quiet efficiency. The South China Sea stretched around them, calm as glass. To most of the men, it was just another day hauling supplies through contested waters. But to the captain, every mile here felt like walking through a minefield you couldn't see. Then it came a single echo on radar. Faint, small, moving fast. The watch officer leaned in, brow furrowing, as the blip appeared again, closer this time. Contact bearing 247, range 12 miles, speed increasing. The captain stepped up beside him, calm but alert. Visual confirmation. Through the binoculars, the haze began to part. A gray silhouette slid across the horizon. Sharp angles, antennas bristling like thorns. That wasn't a merchant ship. Spy vessel, the officer muttered. Chinese. No one spoke for a moment. You could feel the temperature drop, even though the sun was beating down. Try to hail them, the captain ordered. The radio operator's voice crackled through the static, unidentified vessel. This is the United States merchant ship Mercer Bay, operating lawfully in international waters. Identify yourself and maintain safe distance. Silence. No acknowledgement. No voice. Just the endless hiss of radio noise. The captain kept his tone steady. No aggressive actions. Maintain course. Record everything. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His crew knew exactly what that meant. Stay professional. Stay calm. But be ready. The spy ship kept coming, deliberate and silent. Its gray hull glided across the waves until the distance between the two vessels was close enough for binoculars to pick out faces. A few men stood on its deck watching back. Cameras turned toward the Americans. They're filming us, someone said quietly. Good, the captain replied. So are we. The bridge crew tightened their focus. A petty officer marked the position on a chart, circling it in red pencil. A helmsman adjusted the wheel by half a degree, not enough to change course, just enough to signal, "We see you too." Every sound felt sharper now. The tap of a boot heel, the click of a switch, the mechanical whir of radar sweeping through the air. Even the sea seemed to hold its breath. From above, a drone launched its small rotors, slicing the wind as it climbed into the sky, circling both ships like a silent witness. On its camera feed, the two vessels looked like predators orbiting one another in slow motion. The first mate spoke under his breath. "They're testing us." The captain didn't look away from the horizon. "They're testing themselves," he said, "seeing how far they can go without crossing the line." It was an old game, the gray zone dance that played out across these waters every month. No missiles, no warning shots, just steel against nerve, watching who blinked first. The South China Sea was beautiful from a distance, blue, and endless sunlight scattered across waves like broken glass. But beneath that surface, the tension was constant. Every ship that sailed here carried more than cargo. It carried a statement: who owns what, who's watching whom, and how far a nation's patience can stretch before it snaps. The helmsman adjusted again. The spy ship mirrored the movement instantly. "Copying us, Captain," the watch officer reported. "Let them," he said. "Just make sure we don't blink." The spy ship closed in, now less than 2 miles away. No weapons visible, no communication. Just that blank gray hull sliding through sunlight like a shark's fin. Down below in the mess hall, a young radio technician paused over his coffee as the lights flickered. He could feel the hum of the ship change, the faint vibration that meant every sensor and radar system was awake and watching. He whispered to a friend, "Feels like they're right on top of us." "They are," came the answer. "That's the point." Back on the bridge, tension tightened like a wire. The captain stood at the center, hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the spy ship's shadow cutting through the glare. Logged the time, he said. 1,200 hours. Outside, the ocean was still, but the air had changed, thick, electric, charged with a kind of quiet that only comes before something happens. Through the binoculars, the spy ship's hull number came into view. The captain noted it calmly. Then under his breath, "Let's see what you want." For a moment, nothing moved. Just the sound of waves hitting steel and the low hum of power lines running through the ship's body like veins. Then the voiceover cuts in low, steady, and deliberate. "Out here, silence isn't peace. It's strategy. Every move, every second of hesitation is part of a game older than the ships themselves. And in these waters, one wrong maneuver can turn silence into war." The camera pans wide, the two ships locked in parallel gray shapes, slicing across blue infinity. No gunfire. No threats. Just motion, intent, and pressure. As the drone camera pulls back toward the sky, the ocean stretches below an endless chessboard, each vessel a piece, waiting for the other to move first. The voice returns softer now. The horizon looks empty, but something unseen has begun. Cut to black. A deep sonar ping echoes once, fading into the dark, and the war that no one can see is about to become visible. The moment the spy ship settled into parallel formation, the air changed. Inside the bridge of the Mercer Bay, the sound of the ocean faded under the rising hum of electronics, the first sign that the unseen battle had begun. It wasn't a shot, it was a signal. The communications panel flickered once, twice, then spat out a wave of static so thick it drowned the radio room. "Interference," the technician reported. "Looks intentional." On the radar screen, the green sweep began to blur, ghosting duplicates of the Chinese vessel in a dozen false positions. Electronic warfare, invisible, precise, and unnervingly intimate. The captain's eyes narrowed. "Record it. Don't respond." Across the deck, antennas rotated, sensors recalibrated, and frequency jammers clicked on. This was countermeasure combat, silent, unseen, but very real. The Americans adjusted frequencies in microseconds, isolating jamming sources, rerouting data through encrypted backups. On screen, a red warning flashed, "Signal lock, attempt detected." "They're scanning us, Captain," a voice said. The captain didn't flinch. "Let 'em look. We'll keep the lights on." To the crew, it felt personal now. Every flicker on the radar, every pulse of static, like someone breathing down their neck, "Feels like they're inside the ship," a sailor muttered. And in a way they were. Electronic warfare isn't about explosions, it's about possession. Whoever controls the airwaves controls the encounter. Outside, the sea was calm, too calm. The spy ship drifted closer until its wake rolled under the Mercer Bay's bow. From a distance, it looked like nothing more than two ships passing in open waters. But every officer on the bridge knew the truth. This was a gray zone duel waged in whispers and decimals. Through binoculars, faces appeared on the other vessel. Soldiers in blue-gray uniforms, some holding cameras, some pointing sensors. One man on the spy ship raised his phone and filmed. The Americans filmed back. It wasn't arrogance. It was documentation, insurance for when politics demanded proof. Then came the taunt. The Chinese vessel veered sharply, cutting across the American ship's path. On the Mercer Bay, alarms screamed to life. "Collision course, evasive maneuvers ready." The captain's voice stayed low, steady. "Hold your line," metal groaned. Waves slammed the hull. Through the bridge window, the spy ship's bow sliced the water at an impossible angle, close enough that the crew could see its name painted in Mandarin peeling under salt. 500 meters. 300. Dock. Then, like a shark brushing past its prey, the spy ship turned away deliberately, dramatically, leaving a wall of white spray crashing over the deck. No words exchanged. No shots fired. Just pressure. For 10 full seconds, no one breathed. Then the captain spoke. "Steady course. Log the event. Keep cameras rolling." Below deck, the drone operator's feed trembled as the small quadrotor tracked the spy ship's movements. On screen, the image was almost surreal. Two steel giants circling in silence, the sea between them glinting like liquid glass. "Zoom on their tower," the operator said. The feed tightened, antennas still shifting, listening, probing. The first mate whispered, "They want us to react, to flinch." The The captain replied, "That's not our kind of war." And he was right. This wasn't about firepower. It was about composure. Out here, control was a weapon, and restraint was the trigger finger. Hours passed. The spy ship shadowed them relentlessly, every adjustment mirrored like choreography. At one point, the Americans dimmed their running lights, hoping to fade from the spy ship's optical lock. The Chinese vessel dimmed, too. Then, without warning, the interference returned stronger this time. Monitors went black, sensors glitched, navigation lost bearing for 5 heart-stopping seconds. Backup nav online, a crewman barked. Lights returned, systems rebooted. On the captain's screen, a new contact appeared, faint 30 miles east. Allied signal. A voice broke through the static. "This is USS John Finn. We're tracking your shadow. Maintain heading. You're not alone." Relief rippled through the bridge. Quiet, disciplined, but real. They weren't isolated anymore. Japan's destroyer Kaga and Australia's frigate Ballarat had also reported increased jamming nearby. A coordinated harassment textbook testing of resolve. In Washington and Tokyo, analysts would later call it a non-kinetic confrontation. But on the ocean that day, it felt like standing between ghosts that could crush you at any moment. By late afternoon, the light began to change. The sun dropped low, turning the South China Sea into a field of molten gold. The spy ship stayed close, its outline black against the glow. 2 machines locked in a staring contest no one would admit was happening. The captain finally broke the silence. "Bring her 10 degrees starboard." Slowly. The Mercer Bay began to turn, not retreating, just shifting its angle to test the other ship's nerve. The spy ship hesitated. For the first time all day, it didn't mirror. Then it slowed. Engines throttled down. The gap widened meter by meter. "Looks like they're pulling back," someone whispered. The captain didn't celebrate. He simply exhaled and said, "Stay steady." Eyes open. Through the bridge windows, the spy ship began to fade into haze, its silhouette breaking apart in sunlight and distance. But the tension didn't fade with it. Even as the horizon cleared, the crew knew this wasn't over. Tomorrow, next week, somewhere else, it would happen again. And that's the secret about modern warfare at sea. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in through static signals, shadows. A petty officer summed it up quietly, staring out across the waves. "You don't need explosions to feel a fight. You just need someone watching too closely." The captain turned toward the horizon, voice calm but certain. "We won today by staying calm. That's how we win every time." The ship pressed forward, cutting through the calm water. Behind them, the last trace of the spy ship dissolved into sunlight. A sonar ping echoed once across the deep, soft, distant, and final. The invisible war had ended. At least for today. Night fell over the South China Sea like a slow curtain. The hum of engines returned steady, but hollow. The kind of sound that reminds you, you're still here, still afloat, still waiting. On the bridge of the Mercer Bay, the crew moved softly as if not to wake something that had gone quiet but wasn't gone. The spy ship had faded into the dark hours ago, but its presence still pressed on the air like a fingerprint that wouldn't wash off. The captain stood near the glass coffee cooling in his hand, watching the horizon where the other vessel had disappeared. The ocean looked peaceful again, but peace he knew was only a shape the sea wore when no one was looking. He turned to his officers. "We'll file the report at dawn," he said, simply. No contact, no incident, no casualties. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. No casualties, even though every nerve had been pulled taut for 12 straight hours. The first mate broke the silence. "You think they'll be back, sir?" The captain's eyes stayed on the horizon. "Maybe not the same ship," he said. "But there's always another one." He sipped the coffee, grimaced at the cold taste, then set the mug down and leaned forward on the railing. "Listen," he said quietly. "What we did out there, staying calm, staying steady, that's the real fight. Anybody can panic, anybody can fire, but it takes strength to hold your ground without losing your head." The bridge stayed silent. Every man there knew it was true. Out here, the hardest thing wasn't fear, it was control. The captain looked down at the sea below, where faint white lines trailed off in the wake. The ocean remembers, he said, almost to himself. Every move, every echo. That's why we can't let ours be the one that starts something we can't end. He turned back to his crew, tired faces, steady eyes, and gave a single nod. That's all. Get some rest. They dispersed quietly, the sound of their boots fading into the corridors. The bridge dimmed, and for the first time that night the captain was alone. He glanced once more at the empty horizon. Out there, somewhere beyond sight, another ship was probably watching, listening just like before. He smiled faintly. Let them listen. Voiceover begins low, calm, resonant. No shots fired, no heroes made. But something important happened here. On a quiet sea, a crew proved that discipline can be stronger than aggression. The camera pans up from the deck, the Mercer Bay cutting westward through the glowing dawn. Light glints off its hull like gold over steel. Every encounter like this is a test, not of weapons, but of patience, because peace isn't kept by treaties alone. It's kept by people who refuse to be the first to lose control. The sea spreads wide again, endless silence shimmering under the first light of morning. In these waters, silence is never empty. It carries a message louder than any threat. A single sonar ping rolls through the deep, slow, echoing final. Out here, strength doesn't mean firepower. It means staying steady, even when the ocean dares you not to. Fade to black. Would you have stayed calm on that bridge? Comment below. Subscribe for more real-world naval encounters.